Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Glenn here. Happy Monday. Hope you're all having a fantastic start to your week. So this is a subject that I've been thinking about for a while and wanted to talk about that really hits quite close to home for me. It's something that I've been thinking about and working through for quite some time. If you ever wonder where I get some of the topics for some of these videos that I've been making for the past couple months, really I just think, what's a message that I need to tell myself that I can talk about, and maybe somebody else is going through something similar in a similar place where they could benefit from hearing the same thing that I need to hear. And that's what I decided to talk about a lot of the time. So yeah, like I said, this is one that I've been struggling with for a while. So ever since I was young, I've always had this innate sense that I needed to do something, achieve something, or please someone, or meet some sort of a standard in order to feel like I was good enough. Like if I like to feel like a person who was just worthy of being okay with themselves, of feeling like they had some real value in this world. And I would often compare myself to other people as like a barometer for how I was going to go about getting to that point, whether it was, comparing myself to my family, like my cousins, or comparing myself to, how other people were doing in school as far as grades or extracurricular activities, sports teams. Even now, as an entrepreneur, as a voice actor, and you start looking, seeing what other voice actors are doing, see what kind of roles people are landing, seeing the ways that people are running their business. And there's utility in that. Actually, there are a lot of people who can do a great amount of things in their life out of a sense of desperation, out of a feeling like they need to feel good enough in order to feel secure about themselves. And indeed, there are plenty of people who I'm sure have, run major businesses, have gotten a lot of fame, made a lot of money, made a lot of tremendous strides in life, gotten a lot of the things that, would be considered sort of the hallmarks of worldly success in this world. And they get there from a sense of, wanting to be good enough, wanting to look good to other people. And there's absolutely people who are competent enough and hardworking enough to use that energy as a baseboard to get to that point. The thing is, and as I've started to realize, the more I grow up and get older, is that you can get those things. You can be that person, who goes up, strives, conquers, whatever. Get all the things you ever get, anything that you set your mind to, and any goal that you set and you accomplish it. The thing is, though, if you don't inherently feel like you're already a good enough person just by virtue of being you, you realize when you get to those things that nothing is ever gonna fill that void. Like, I haven't done a whole lot, but I've climbed a couple mountains figuratively, and I've gone to school for some things. I've set some goals, made some accomplishments, done some real feats, thinking that okay, if I just can climb this mountain, if I can reach this summit, then I'll be a worthy person. Then I'll finally get to feel like I'm okay with myself. And then you get there, and for a short moment, there's a lot of elation. Like, holy crap, I set my mind to do this thing. It was super hard, and I got there. And you're like, holy crap, that was awesome. But then, a couple days go by, the novelty kind of wears off, and you realize you're just the same person that you were. And you sort of go about your life in basically the same way that you've been. There's no like light switch where all of a sudden you feel like a different person that you've never felt like before. And so I realized that in order to feel good enough, I had to play a different game. I had to change my mindset about this whole thing. And that's, we have so much pride where at least I do, speaking for myself, probably other people can relate, where we feel like if something's going to be good in our life, we have to work for it. We have to earn it. Otherwise, it doesn't have weight to it. But so many of the things are not like that, where it's not about taking on, it's about letting go. And I realized that, in order to get to this point, I had to let go of a lot of my pride, a lot of my desires to fill these insecurities in ways that I had wanted to, and just realize that ultimately, by virtue of being a human being, by virtue of being an individual on this earth, living your own life, you're already good enough. You are already good enough. You always have been. You always will be. I'm not saying you're good enough to, achieve anything that you want to do. You might never be the best at something. You might never be the richest person in the world, but you are good enough to be content with who you are and then to pursue the sort of life that you want to lead. And no one else has to tell you what that is. No one else has, you don't have to prove that to anyone. No one, you don't, you don't need to reach any standard to feel that way. And when you can finally slow down, relax, let go of the pride, let go of this convention that you made for yourself, as I try to let go of this convention I made for myself, then that stuff starts to click, and it's just an absolute game changer. You know, I was raised in a Christian tradition, and I still draw a lot from those teachings. I still am a Christian, and I think there's a lot of wisdom and a lot of the doctrine and teachings there. And one of the illustrations that you get to use in the Bible is this idea of producing fruit. They talk about like the fruits of the Spirit, fruit being like good works or good attitudes and whatnot. And there's this idea that if you're a healthy person, like a healthy tree produces good fruit. And the interesting thing when you look at that analogy is that a healthy tree produces good fruit. We understand that. But it's not that in order to be a healthy tree, it needs to produce that good fruit. That's putting the cart before the horse. It's like, if you're already healthy, if you're already content with where you are, then the stuff that you do with your life is just going to flow forth from that and be healthy. It's not like, oh, it needs to produce apples before it can be a healthy tree. Like, no, you can't be an unhealthy tree and produce healthy apples or bananas or whatever. You have to be a strong tree in order to produce the stuff. And people can look at that stuff and realize like, okay, this is a healthy tree because of the healthy fruits. But you gotta be okay with yourself first in the beginning. And that can be a hard thing for people. And, especially in Western culture and social media, you see people posting your wins, and you have this sense like, well, I need to post my wins, or I need to have wins worthy of posting and get that validation. But when you can break free of that trap, free of the judgment of others, free of the judgment of yourself, that's when life starts getting really interesting. And you start realizing that, maybe you've been looking at life the wrong way. Maybe there's more to it. Maybe this convention that you've invested so much emotional energy into isn't serving you as well as something else could. And that's worth looking into. So for myself, for anyone else out there who's watching, whoever watches this video, whatever you're going through, whatever you're trying to do with your life, you are already enough. You are a beautiful individual. No one else is ever going to be like you. I know it's a little bit, and you say that like, and it sounds, cliche, but it's so true. Like, I've met so many people who are just so beautifully individually themselves. Like, they just have such a unique flavor or aura to themselves that I've just never met in anybody else. And it's so fascinating how there can be 7 billion people on this world, and yet you get to know individuals and you realize that like how unique people can still be and how different people can still be from each other, despite us having so many commonalities, and despite there being so many of us. So you're already there, man. You're already the person you are meant to be. And when you're comfortable with that, that's when the life you want to lead can really flow forth. And you're doing things not because you feel like desperate, like you need to. You focus on the things you want to do because that's just what you do. That's what you were put on this earth to do. All right. That's about what I got for today. Appreciate any one of you guys sticking around, listening, watching. Always appreciate getting feedback, hearing from folks about stuff I put out there. And once again, I hope you guys have a fantastic start to your week, as I'm looking forward to having a good start to mine. And I'll catch you guys on the flip side. Take care.